Hello everyone, this is G to the GTV and welcome to part 2 of this Final Fantasy 9 complete video walkthrough. Apparently we survived the big crash in the last part. In fact, most of the crew survived even though there was a huge explosion. Zidane even jumped off the ship like a madman. I would love to see him survive such a long fall. But this is Final Fantasy, and if there is something these games have taught us, is that long falls doesn't kill you. And Zidane will have longer falls in this game, trust me. But without spoiling things that will happen later in the game, this is where we learn about a thing called ATE, short for Active Time Event. When your party members split up, you will sometimes get the blue text in the bottom left corner. It will also give you a little sound to warn you that you can activate the ATE. When you activate the ATE by pressing the select button, you can watch what's going on with the other party members to see what they're doing. In our first ATE, it shows us that something is chasing Garnet and Vivi. They seem to be in trouble, so we go to save them. This is where we go into the evil forest. And when I was younger, I usually grind to level 3 here. But since we have the Mage Smasher, the next fight shouldn't be a problem. I got in one fight here just to show the first normal enemy of the game. Like I've said before, you should always steal from the enemies. Even the normal ones will stack up thievery later in the game. Every normal enemy in the forest should be one-shot by Zidane if you have the Mage Smasher. And most normal enemies got 2 items. This wolf is called a Fang. And they drop a potion and a high potion, which is good in the beginning since you don't have Garnet in the party yet. Especially for the next enemy that is coming up. But remember to heal first. We get further up the forest to see that the princess has gotten captured by a big plant monster. This is a mini-boss we'll fight. Zidane will get something called trance at the beginning of the battle, which is kinda just like limit breaks from Final Fantasy 7 or 8, just that you can use it more than once every time you get it. It will give the characters different attributes and some more power if you just want to attack normally. Zidane gets something called Dine, which is a very powerful ability to use against enemies. Do not use Tribal Flame in this fight though, since it will kill the princess as well. Free energy should kill it in 2 hits, so don't worry about this fight. You can't steal from it though. The monster escapes with the princess after you have dealt enough damage. It seems like the monster is gone, and it looks bleak for the princess. But the monster comes back to capture Vivi this time. We'll have our second fight against this thing. This time you can steal Broadsword, which is the same weapon Steiner already got, and the letter Wrist. In this fight Vivi is the one trapped by the plant monster. It will absorb health from Vivi every 3rd turn. 2 other turns he will attack with his 2 tentacles. What is the fixation with tentacles from Japanese people? Seriously? But anyway, Vivi will also help out casting fire every turn on the monster. And you should heal Vivi up with potions when he is low with health, because if he die in this fight it's game over. Before I could steal the leather wrist, Vivi actually killed it with fire. I would not recommend to attack with Steiner at all since Vivi will just cast fire automatically until it dies. Try to steal everything first. After the fight the boss is dead, but he shoots toxic gas which knocks Steiner and Vivi out. Zidane does a backflip to dodge it. Sick backflip, bro! I just love how you can dodge toxic gas in this game by doing backflips. Zidane takes them back to the theater ship, where they get the antidote for the potion that would otherwise kill them. Zidane's tried to convince Baku to search for the princess, but without any luck. This is where we get some ATEs for Steiner, Ruby and Sina. They're not super interesting, just giving a little more dialogue for the different characters. You'll find some treasure on the ship. You will get the wrist, ether, poison, rubber helmet, which you really should get, and a leather hat. The next thing to do is to check on Vivi. There's another ether and some gil in his room. Vivi will talk about how he could not do anything in the fight, but Zidane cheers him up. Next there will be a flashback to where Zidane first met Garnet, and he decides to go look for her himself with Steiner and Vivi. But first he needs to talk to Baku, You should probably go out and save before doing this, because the only way Baku is gonna give us the permission to leave is if we can defeat him in a one-on-one battle. This fight is not super hard, but since I want to steal all the items, you need to be careful and heal Zidane with potion whenever he has low health. Baku deals around 30 to 45 damage per hit, and you can steal a high potion and an iron sword from him. Iron Sword is a much better weapon for Steiner, so it's pretty important to get it. Then just go all out with normal attacks. Should be pretty easy with the Mage Measure. It's time to go and find our princess. First you need to talk to Steiner and Vivi to get them to join us. There is also a treasure chest in Steiner's room, and this is where you can get it. It's another ether. You do get a lot of them in this game, and you won't use it much, since you can use a tent before each boss anyway, but it's always good to have. Vivi is a bit hesitant to join, but after complimenting his power he decides to join the crew. This is where you should start to equip the characters. Final Fantasy IX went back to the more traditional equipping system with having not only weapon equipment, but also head, wrist, torso and special armor, which is something I really like and miss in the new Final Fantasy games. Make sure to give Vivi the silk shirt, since as you see on each equipment there is a special ability that each character can learn. When you get enough AP or ability points, you will learn the ability on the equipment forever. You will also see that sometimes the ability on the item is grey. This means that the character can't ever learn the ability. Next to each character on the main menu is something I call an ability crystal. That is points you can activate passive abilities you also learn with equipment. Like Bug Killer we currently is learning with Steiner means that he will deal more damage to bug type enemies if you activate it. It costs 2 ability crystals and some do more or less. Each character can learn different and same passive abilities by defeating bosses and normal enemies by gaining AP. So even if you get a better weapon or armor, you might want to wait until you have learned the ability first. Some armor also give you protection from or absorbs elemental attacks, which you can see by pressing the select button. I honestly love this system, and I think it's my favorite battle equipping system thus far in a Final Fantasy game. But go into the forest and just follow the path. There is no other way to go. And fight all the enemies on the way. Also steal from each enemy to stack the thievery spell you will get later. You don't really need to do any grinding in this game, as long as you kill and steal from every enemy on the way there. After a little while you will get to a spring. There's a Moogle you can give the letter from the Moogle in the clock tower in Alexandria. The letter says that the queen is up to something, and Garnet might be leaving soon. After that you should save and drink from the spring to heal and restore MP, and move on. This is where you come across the big mother plant that got the princess captured. This is the first real boss of the game, and it's pretty tough. First steal everything from it. You can steal an iron helmet and eye drops from this boss. And it's pretty important to get the helmet since it's a better headgear for Steiner. This boss will deal some very good damage to you. He will use his tentacles to deal around 100 damage to one of your characters. He can do thunder as well. He's weak against fire, so do Fire Sword with Steiner. It will deal around 400 damage with the new Iron Sword. Also do normal fire with Vivi. Use potion with Zidane after he has stolen everything, since like I said the boss deals a lot of good damage. After a little bit Blank joins the fight to help out, but it's Vivi and Steiner that will do the real damage this fight, so make sure to heal with potion with Zidane and Blank if needed. Zidane died this fight for me, so he didn't get any AP from the fight, which was kinda sad, but nothing critical. They gave Garnet a potion to heal her poison, but it doesn't work for a while, so they have to carry her out of there. The whole force comes after them after they defeat the boss, so they have to get the hell out of there. Make sure to unequip everything on Blank since you won't be using him much anymore. You will have a fight against plant monsters, but each character will be able to one-shot them. They don't give you much experience, so no need to grind here. Just get out of the forest as fast as possible, but remember to steal from them with Zidane. The party runs like hell as the whole forest, including tentacles, comes after them. Like what the hell is up with Japan and tentacles? I just don't get it. It seems like Zidane gets a little behind, something I wonder a little bit about since Steiner has a huge iron armor and Vivi is a little kid with small legs, but whatever. Blank pushes Zidane aside to save him, but gets caught himself. And the last thing he does before a whole forest is starting to turn into stone is to draw a map of the main world. Zidane catches the map and keeps running from all the madness coming after him. It's a thrilling cutscene and he barely escapes it all. Blanco returned to stone with the whole forest. But you know what they say? It's not a party before somebody gets stoned. That's funny, right? No? I thought I made it funny. After the scene and some good night's sleep, the princess becomes better. They decided to move on, after some bickering with Steiner, of course. But we're halfway through this video now, and you know what that means if you have watched the last part. Who is your favorite Final Fantasy character? Make sure to tell me in the comments, I will give you my answer in the next part. In the last part I asked you what is your favorite Final Fantasy. Mine is this game. Final Fantasy 9 might be my favorite game of all time. And I play this game at least 1 to 2 times every year. I love basically everything about this game. So there you go. This is where you go to the world map for the very first time. The next location should be right in front of you, not far away. This is the ice cavern, and we're gonna have some fun here. There's a lot of good treasure here, and some of them are hidden. From one of the items you have gotten thus far, Steiner should have a very important passive ability called Level Up. Level Up gives the character that have learned it more experience after every battle, so we should definitely activate it. The first chest in the first room will give you a tent. The next section should contain some weird looking walls. You can use Vivi to melt a wall to reveal a chest. You get a ether from this one, and a potion from the next one in this room. Also, when you get in a fight with these enemies, you can just use fire and lock on all of the enemies by pressing the R1 button while selecting targets. They will give a lot of experience. In the next room you will find the ice bridge. You can use Vivi again. Don't do that before you get the chest on the top of it, or you won't be able to get the potion on the top of the pillar. Then you can use Vivi's fire on it, and then you can go down to the other chest below the pillar and get another mage masher, which you need later for synthesizing. You get a chest behind another ice wall in the north of this section in the ice cavern that contains an elixir, which like you might know is very good. In the next section of the dungeon there is a chest with a phoenix down, and another secret wall with a letter wrist that you should equip on Vivi to get Blizzard. In the next section there is a split road. Do not go to the right yet, since that will further the plot. Go to the left where you will find a frozen Moogle. I just love how the Moogle get infuriated when Vivi saves him from the ice, calling us bastard even though we saved his life. Jerk! You also get another letter from this Moogle if you want to do the side quests. When you go to the right of the split road, the crew walks further up the mountain, but it's starting to get real cold. Weirdly didn't get cold before now, but whatever. Steiner and Vivi faints from the cold, and Garnet and Zidane falls asleep as well. In the end, a sound of a bell wakes Zidane up. And since he is such a good friend, he just leaves the group behind to freeze to death. Because that's what friends do, right? You can at this point go back and grind with Zidane alone. Since the more you have in the party, the less experience you get. So if you fight with Zidane alone, you will get a lot more experience. But you really don't need to, even though the next fight is kinda hard. The one behind the blizzard is a Vivi looking dude called Black Waltz number 1. He wanted to kill everyone in our group for some reason, which won't really be explained. But it's boss time, and this is probably the hardest boss on this disc. He will summon a sea lion at the beginning of the fight. It's really important to steal the mithril dagger from the sea lion. You can get another silk shirt and remedy from the Black Waltz. But just try until you get trance or need to heal. They will both do ice and fire magic, which will do around 20 to 40 damage to you. And the sea lion will also do a wing attack that does 20 to 30 damage per hit. But when you get trance, then use free energy first at sea lion. I use this reversed, which is not very smart, since Tribal Flame will kill the Black Waltz but not the sea lion. And after Black Waltz dies, the sea lion will do a tsunami attack which will do around 100 damage to you. He will also use one more attack right after that, so it will do a lot of damage that I could have prevented by doing free energy first to kill them both afterwards with Tribal Flame. This boss is, like I said, a little tough if you don't know what to do, and that is why I should save before going there. Also, you should steal the mutual damage since it's really good, and you will learn the passive ability Bandit, which gives Steel a higher chance to succeed. Luckily the rest of the people survived the cold. No help to use it, Zidane. They go to the top of the ice cavern, where there is sun and some warmth. They start to bicker about what to do next. Steiner wants to go straight back to Alexandria, and Zidane wants to take them to Lindblom, where his gang of bandits resides. Zidane also thinks Garnet should get a new identity before going to the next village, so people would not find out that she is the princess. Steiner of course doesn't want that, because the princess need not sneak around. But because the princess is somewhat smart, she agrees to have a new name until she returns to Alexandria. So, what to call her? Garnet! I will be called Garnet from now on. What do you think, Bobby? But that's it for this part. Make sure to check out the first part here and the next part here. Make sure to like and share the video because I use a lot of time on these videos. I would really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe and check out our social medias for more videos in the future. And comment what you think about the videos. And I'll see you next time in the next video. See ya.